someone commented and was talking about was like, oh, I love Game of Thrones, but the books were so bad I just couldn't read them or whatever. And then I was like she was like, the writing style, like I just couldn't like get past it or whatever. And I was like, yeah, the writing style was like unique or whatever, but you know, like I have the complete opposite opinion. And she was like, yeah, I still really love the series. I named my daughter Arya. Whoa.
That's like, I bet there's like a generation of kids named like Katniss, you know?
Yeah. Apparently there's a lot of kids named Daenerys.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder how many there are.
Too many.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm here with my sweet boy.
Hi.
This is Brandon. He has a BookTok channel that I will link down below called
Orlock Reads.
And what do you do on Orlock Reads?
I read. But not for real. I do a lot of like reading vlogs and probably gonna start doing book reviews in a second. I've been stuck on my current book for a good little minute. But yeah, reading vlogs. I have 2 book hauls on there. A lot of like community driven type stuff or whatever. Today
we're doing a little bit of everything. So I'm gonna start out with some books that I've recently purchased, and I'm gonna give Brandon like a list of books for you to choose from for me to read in September. And I'm excited about this mix because my current hometown book club, we don't have a book for this month. We're all just kind of reading our own thing. So I have lots of options. I picked up 4 books from this used bookstore in our hometown area. And all of these were half off or pretty cheap, and they're all brand new. This first one is A School for Good Mothers. This is my favorite book that I read in 2022, and it's still my favorite book to this day. This is True Biz. I was gonna go to an event because the author was coming to town, but unfortunately I have class that night, so I am going to see if I can leave class a few minutes early or what. Not too sure yet. So, but this book is about a residential school for the deaf, and so we have a lot of different characters, and this book kind of follows their life all around, which is pretty neat. Then we have The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I think you would like this. I haven't actually read it yet, but this is basically about a real life final girl in a support group with other final girls, but apparently one of them goes missing. And so like their life.
And they're all like based off of actual final girls from, yeah, we looked it up.
Okay.
Months ago, you probably forgot. But yeah, like they're all based off of like real final girls from like scary movies and stuff. Like I know they had like one who's probably supposed to be like a parody of one of the Friday the 13th final girls, one who's supposed to be like Laurie Strode, and then like another who's supposed to be like Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Did all of those films like take place in the same area?
No, not at all. So I'm not sure how they all gather up in one place. I think I'm gonna read it myself after you're done.
Yeah.
Because I've actually seen the movies. I'm like,
yeah. I am excited. So I got this because my friend Sage and I, who I mentioned a lot on this channel and on Instagram, we love Grady Hendrix, and he's a local South Carolina author, and a lot of his books take place in South Carolina. I'm not sure this one does. That's why I asked like where the books take place. And then this I picked up honestly because it's a pretty cover. But also it's a newer book, but it's called Revival Season by Monica West. And from what I understand, it's about a teenager's perspective, being maybe like a pastor's daughter sort of thing. The last sentence reads, a story of spiritual awakening and disillusionment in a Southern Black evangelical community. West's transporting novel explores what it means to be a person of faith, even after our belief system collapse around us.
I thought the cover looked like a like a Bible camp kind of thing.
It's very clearly about Bible camp and church or revival tent. That's like a revival tent type.
So I know nothing about any of these books besides Final Girl Support Group and School for Good Mothers. Yeah, and
there's other books in this list too.
Okay. Okay, we're not done.
We're not done. So, but I also just wanted to talk about some books that I'm currently reading and books that I recently finished. Sorry, our section's not coming up until the end. Currently, I'm reading Tenders of Flesh. It is very disgusting and it's gross, and I love it so much. And it's taken me quite a while to read it, even though it's such a short book. But I'm on my way to finishing this up, possibly today or tomorrow.
Karen loves cannibals. That's why she loves this book so much.
I like reading and consuming stories about cannibalism. Not that I love cannibals. You gotta be careful with your wording there. And then next is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Sage and I have been buddy reading this since maybe like June or July, and we just both kind of stopped halfway through.
It's a BookTok book, so.
It is a BookTok book.
I'm assuming it's not good.
No, it's actually really good so far. Like, I really enjoy it. And you know, like, I don't read a lot of popular BookTok books too, so. So far this is good. We picked this up because my book club read Daisy Jones and the Six by the same author, and I wanted to continue on and read more from this author. And so this is another popular one. And I think it's being turned into a show or film as well. So I'm excited for that. Sage and I will probably watch that together. Recently, I listened to 2 audiobooks, An American Marriage. Can't remember the author's name. This one was really, really good, multi-perspective, about a young couple in the South. One of the husband, he gets wrongfully committed of a murder and is sent to prison for about 5 years. That was like a 4.5-star read for me. Absolutely loved it. And then the second audiobook is My Sister's Keeper. My last reading vlog was me finishing up My Sister's Keeper. Absolutely hated the ending. Haven't seen the film, but apparently the film has a different ending. But I love the audiobook so much, and I'm sad the way that it ended.
I think she was listening to it on a 5-hour car. Weren't you on a car ride to the beach?
Maybe?
Isn't that when you were listening to it? Well, I think she was, and I just remember her being so pissed off while I'm driving and was like, you would not believe the way they ended this book.
I texted you when I finished it.
Oh yeah, you did.
And then I also recently read Monsoon Mansion by Sanel Barnes. This is a memoir of her life in the Philippines. It's a riches to rags story, and it just has very, very riches to rags. Like, she was a rich child.
No, she's not.
And she, like, remember her family lost all their money?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so like the mansion that she grew up in completely became decrepit and
So it's
gross.
riches to rags to riches.
Riches to rags to riches, adopted to America, fell in love with a Southerner, now lives in Charleston. Very interesting life. I met her before. She's so kind, and she's a wonderful writer. She's edited another book that I own and written some other books as well that I want to get into. And then lastly, I also listened to Dread Nation. Can't remember the author's name, but this was on audio. And I think I kind of listened to it at the wrong time in my life, because everyone that I know or have seen reviews of say that they love the book. But it was an okay read for me. It didn't feel like there was much of a plot to it. But I do like zombie stories. Cannibalism and zombie stories are my favorite.
Which is very funny because she did not like horror movies until she dated me. So.
Yeah, but I've always really liked zombie films and media. So I actually just started a new Korean show, and it's called Zombieverse. But basically,
I've heard about it.
It's like a reality show, but everybody around them turns into zombies, so they have to survive. I think it's filmed as like a reality show, but apparently it's unscripted. But I think some of it is a little scripted. I can't tell.
So it's probably all scripted.
I was watching it and I just couldn't tell. Like,
all right, so on my book talk, I did a book haul recently. Barnes & Nobles have their like little BOGO sale that they do every year. It's annual. It's called the book haul sale. So I did a book haul, and I got 4 books. One was A Storm of Swords by the lovely Karen. Thankfully. And then the other 3 in the books I actually bought myself. So, but well, yeah. So A Storm of Swords. Reading A Clash of Kings currently, almost done. I've got like 50 pages left.
yeah, you're
I
really
think.
close to being finished.
I'm really close. Hopefully I'll finish it today, because I've been reading this.
I'm very impressed with, like, I haven't read a huge book in a while, you know.
Yeah, and I've read 2 huge books back to back. Prior to reading Clash of Kings, I read the first book, Game of Thrones, and that was 800 pages.
Have you gotten into a reading slump? Do you know what that is?
I mean, I don't read a lot because of like life. It's not really because of like a slump or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I will go like a week without reading anything at all. But
sometimes I'll go a week without reading because I just can't stand reading.
Yeah.
That's a reading slump.
I do like blow through like the later halves of these books faster than the first halves. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I've noticed that. You flew by
Yeah.
with these.
Yeah, like when I get to like the second half or whatever, I start going pretty fast.
Are you liking it?
Yeah, oh yeah, I love it. I would say it's also a 5-star read. I think like the highs are higher than the first book in some regard. Like there's a lot more world building, and it's just a bigger novel. There's also some downsides to it. like some of the plot points feel like a little bit like since the plot expands so much, some of the plot points and storylines feel a little bit disconnected from the greater plot. But that's just about all I can say without going super in depth into A Song of Ice and Fire lore. But yeah, enjoying this a lot. 5-star read.
Yay! And I feel like you'll finish today or tomorrow.
Yeah, and Game of Thrones also a 5-star read. Love them both. And then aside from that, the other books in the book haul, one was Everything But Blackened Teeth, I think is the name. I don't have it with me and I haven't read it yet, but I think that's the name. And it's like a short horror novel. It had like a really cool cover. I don't have it with me. And then it takes place in Heian era Japan. And I saw that and I was like, love me some feudal Japan. So, and it's a horror book. So, yeah. And then, what are my other books?
Dracula.
I want to talk about that one last.
Okay.
Oh, the other one was The Silent Patient. Is that the name of it? Yeah, The Silent Patient, which is a popular BookTok book. I did not know that. I just saw it and I read the back a little bit and I liked it, so I bought it. And I'll probably read that one pretty soon as well. It's not that long, so yeah. And I think I'm gonna blow through like a lot of like smaller books before I start the third book in A Song of Ice and Fire, because that's the longest one in the series. So it's like 1,200 pages. And oh yeah, the final book I bought was a like really fancy schmancy hardcover copy of Dracula. So yeah, just because I really like classic books. I like more so than Karen. Karen hasn't read a lot of classics, and
I've read one.
What's the one?
Brave New World.
I know that was a classic. I read a bunch in like school and stuff, and I actually did genuinely like them. So yeah, I like the classics a lot, but I haven't read Dracula, so I bought a really fancy hardcover Dracula copy. Nice. And it has other it has other horror stories in there as well.
Okay, this is the fun part. So I have 5 books for you to choose from. You can choose maybe between 2 to 3 of these books for me to read. I can't promise that I'm going to read them all in September, but I will try.
No, she can't.
I will try.
Because I've done a TBR for her before, and she still has not read one of the books.
Only one of them. I read the other 2. It's right there.
And Ember in the Ashes, which is like one of my favorite. Actually, it's probably my favorite young adult like novel or whatever. She hasn't finished it yet.
It's a thick book, and I told you I haven't finished a thick book in a while.
Yeah, this book doesn't seem as big as like, or it didn't feel this big when I was reading it.
5 books for you to choose from, and I'm gonna go through my reasoning as to why this is on my list, but you can choose between 2 to 3. But I'm gonna start with Nemesis by, how do you think you pronounce that? The first book is Nemesis by Reich. I've had this copy since I was in high school.
It's Brendan, not Brendan.
Brendan Reich. But also, out of all of my bookish videos, or at least out of all of my book reviews I've done, this is the most viewed book review that I have on my channel.
So you've already read it?
I've already read it in high school, but I have no memory of what this book is about. So I'm
this happens with her a lot, by the way.
And that's fine, but that's gonna make the rereading process a lot more fun. But basically, the back reads, it's been happening since Min was 8. Every 2 years on her birthday, she is murdered by the same man in cold blood. But hours later, she wakes up in a clearing just outside of her hometown, alone, unhurt, and with all the evidence of the crime erased. Across the valley, Noah just wants to be like everyone else, but he's not. Nightmares of murder and death plague him too, though he does his best to hide the signs. And as the world around them begins to spiral towards a panic and destruction, the 2 troubled teens discover that people have been lying to them their whole lives. And the back also reads a blockbuster thriller for fans of The Maze Runner and The 100. But I have this on my list for September because in November, I really, really, really want to try and go back to Charleston for Y'all Fest. Brendan Reich is going to be there. And if I could get him to sign this copy, that would be awesome. I also have the second book, so if I finish this in September, I would read the next book in October, so on and so forth. This might be a duology. I don't know if there's a third book, so.
Yeah, a duology?
Duology just means 2 books.
That's weird. I've never heard that said before.
Yeah. That's one. The second one I have on my list is the Final Girl Support Group. We talked about what this was about, but I'm adding it to my list because I think this is very like, I've kind of been on not a horror movie kick, but I have been requesting that we watch horror movies.
And the thing is too is that we've seen enough of these movies for you to get some of the references.
Sage and I have talked about it. Grady Hendrix is like our favorite author, and we actually just commented on his post today because he said, if you don't hear from me in 8 weeks, I'm dead. So I commented saying, are you dead? Next is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I think this is more of some sort. I got this at a book swap from my last book club. I want to say like 4 people in the last 4 or 5 months have all told me to read this book. And it's some sort of like memoir. And they said if you like Brene Brown, then you would like this. And I do like Brene Brown. But I don't know. The last paragraph reads,
sounds contemporary.
it's memoir, not contemporary. Glennon Doyle is also married to Abby Wambach, who's one of the like OG women's soccer players, professional soccer players.
Yeah, I know the name.
Oh, also from this stack is Revival Season, which we kind of talked about what it's about. I just have this on my list because I want to get more into like Southern literature or like books that take place in the South. This, of course, being one of them. The other book on my list, actually, I need to show you a photo of it. And the reason why I am adding this book to my list is because, again, this author is going to be at YALLFest. All right, so the book is called, the name of this book is Secret, and the author is Pseudonymous Bosch. And so my friend like read this back in like the 6th grade. I remember like she was really obsessed with this book. I read bits and pieces, but I never read the full thing all the way through. But I just found out the author's real name because he's coming to YALLFest, and it had his actual name listed and not Pseudonymous Bosch. And so let me read you a synopsis of what this is about. Read the series that sold more than 2 million copies if you dare. Warning, this description has not been authorized by Pseudonymous Bosch. As much as he'd love to sing you the praises of this book, he is very vain. He wouldn't want you to hear about this brave 11-year-old heroes, Cass and Max Ernest, or about how a mysterious box of vials, the symphony of smells, sends them on the trail of a magician who has vanished under strange and stinky circumstances. And he certainly wouldn't want you to know about their hair-raising adventures that follow and the nefarious villains they face. You see, not only is the name of this book secret, the story inside is too, for it concerns a secret, a big secret.
Well, that wasn't very secret.
The name of this book is Secret, is the 6th book from this options list. But I added that to my list again because Pseudonymous Bosch is coming to YALLFest.
Okay.
And the only author so far that I want to meet at YALLFest is Brendan Reich. So I'm really going to go to YALLFest for the freebies and the vibes and the fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh wait, I guess I said 6, but it's really 5 books, I think. What's your thought process with choosing these, and which ones do you choose?
So, am I supposed to choose books that like you would like to read, or books that
No,
I would
just
like
books
to
that
read,
you
or
want me
books
to
that
read.
sound interesting?
It's up to you however you interpret it, but this is a boyfriend chooses my TBR, so you choose.
I can use any like method.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep it real with you. This one sounds really uninteresting.
Which one?
The bottom one.
I think it's going to be my type of book, not your type. So I wouldn't be surprised if you don't choose it.
That's why I asked you that question.
Because I know you're not going to choose it, but I had to put it in here because it's on my TBR.
Yes.
It's probably a book for women, you know. It's
That was
not
sexist.
No, it's a book for women.
No, you're definitely right, and that's okay. Not everything's meant for everybody. You know?
Maybe Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Karen would never read or watch Game of Thrones, which is my favorite book, you know, but, okay, yeah, so definitely not this book. So we can take that one out of the pile. Because I don't really like memoirs or like...
I love a good memoir.
Okay, we get it. This is your channel. I'm the special guest, all right?
Okay.
Let me cook.
Gosh, got that.
All right, yeah, I don't really care for memoirs, or like books that are like too grounded in reality. You know, like, unless it's like a mystery or something fun or actiony is going on or whatever. I don't really care for books about just regular people like living life, you know?
Oh, you like legit read books for pleasure?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read books to learn too sometimes, so that's where the...
Well, I like learning from books also, but like if I'm learning from a book, I would like it to be like learning like financial skills or like,
That's so...
or like stuff like that.
He's a marketing major.
Yeah.
He's a business bro.
So, a lock is the Final Girl support group. This one's a lock.
Okay.
It's definitely chosen. Because I mean, first of all, you like Grady Hendrix or whatever a lot.
Love.
I've never read one of his books, or heard of him until dating you. But it's a book about final girls, and I love me a good final girl. I mean, on one hand, Revival Season.
These are very different books.
Yeah, these are quite different books. You've already read this one, so I'm gonna choose Revival Season.
Okay.
Did you not expect that?
No.
I'm gonna choose Revival Season because you've already read the one book, and I think that you should just remember your books more instead of having.
But I read this like 5+ years ago.
I read An Ember in the Ashes in 10th grade when I was in detention every day for being late to class, and I remember it like the back of my hand. That's a lie, but I remember it a lot more than.
Books have like a 3-day expiration date in my brain.
Yeah.
Because like once I'm done, I want to move on to the next story, you know, and consume something else. But you said Revival Season, so we have our 2 books for September. So this is what I will. So this is what I will be reading for the month of September. We'll check back in at the end of the month and see if I actually read them. Thanks for hopping onto my channel.
Of course.
That is it for this video. Let me know what you are reading for the month of September, or if you have any recent reads. And then I will have all your stuff in the bio.
Yeah, follow me on BookTok.
Okay.
And my followers do want me to make a booktube, so I might be here too.
A couple's booktube channel?
Did you say anything about couple's booktube channel?
I did. Okay. Bye.
All right, bye.